More contaminated communist Chinese imports to this country. The Bush administration, however, still refuses to recall thousands of defective and dangerous tires made in China. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration says an American importer must recall the almost 450,000 tires. The importer faces millions of dollars in penalties if it doesn't comply. And contaminated toothpaste has been found in several more states, also made in communist China. That toothpaste was first discovered in state institutions in Georgia. The New York Times reporting about 900,000 tubes of contaminated toothpaste were shipped to state institutions in Florida, North Carolina, and South Carolina. That toothpaste contains a toxic chemical found in antifreeze. The federal government is taking action to stop contaminated fish from communist China from entering the country, even as China continues to insist its products are safe. Kitty Pilgrim has our report.
Chinese fish has been contaminated for years. Since 2001, the FDA found banned toxins and drugs in Chinese imported fish. Finally, today, the FDA is officially banning 5 species of fish from China: catfish, shrimp, basa, dace, and eel.
This is a long-term problem that we've been monitoring for some time. We've reached the point where we now feel we need to broaden this import alert to a countrywide with China.
The FDA says China is the world's largest producer of farmed fish, accounting for 70% of world consumption. Because of the problems, the FDA has upped its testing from 1% to now 5% of Chinese farmed fish imports, saying the importer has to prove it's safe before any shipment can be released for sale. Some consumer watchdog groups say it's not just fish from China that should be screened.
I'm worried that the FDA is really only testing for a narrow band of chemicals and really just focusing on China, probably because of the problems over the last few months, starting with pet food and melamine. But there are lots of other places that we import seafood from that need some more scrutiny as well.
Fish is generally not required to be labeled, so the consumer has to rely on the government to do its screening.
This is just another example of FDA having to react to problems, to detect and correct problems, rather than having a system in place to prevent problems. And we really need to transform the way we oversee imports to be preventive and not just rely on FDA inspectors catching problems and reacting to them.
Until then, the consumer is left at risk. Well, the FDA says there's no immediate health risks from the contaminated fish, but prolonged consumption could lead to cancer. That's what they say.
And again, they've closed 180 of their food plants in China. At some point, it's purely a rhetorical question, will it occur to anyone in this government to actually begin to function in protection of the American consumer?
When you look at the rejected lists, the Chinese products really dominate these lists.
Absolutely. And by the way, the reference to food labeling, origins, national origins on labels, that was put into law in 2003. Again, an example of the federal government not enforcing the law. I wonder why. Kitty Pilgrim, thank you very much.